Challenge Cup. When we're looking at these two teams, Lisa, I like what I saw out of Gotham. I got to see them live and in action against Chicago. Lynn Williams is the truth. Gotham FC is the show, right? But Lynn Williams is the ticket. Like that's where what we're looking at here. Folks are lining up to see what Lynn Williams is going to do week in and week out for this Gotham side. She's prime time for sure. So look, I'm going with Gotham in this one. I'll just start it early. Let's just get it out there now.
I love this. I love that you're going with Gotham. Started early. I'm also going with Gotham. Go Bats. You and I, we've both got New Jersey, New York taking the win in this one. My prediction for this game is a high-scoring affair. All goals, no defense between these two sides. Honestly, which could make for a lot of chaos. But I think Gotham's going to come out with more goals than Orlando in this one. This is a Sunday evening game. As you talked about, Gotham coming off that 2-1 win over Chicago. It was the Lynn Williams show. It is the Lynn Williams show, and it will continue to be the Lynn Williams show for Gotham. It's really hard to slow her down, to stop her, to limit her exposure on the ball. And that's all a team can hope to do. And I just don't think it's going to be enough. Now, Orlando coming off midweek action against Washington Spirit during the Challenge Cup, a 4-2 loss in which they scored first, and they ended up getting on the board really early in the opening 4 minutes of the Challenge Cup match. I wanted to see Ali Watt get a start. We also got to see from Washington Spirit from Orlando Pride, Kaylee Collins in goals. There was a lot of goalkeeper rotation for Seb Hines, rotation on both sides of the pitch during that Challenge Cup game. But because of the midweek action and despite the rotation, Orlando's coming off midweek action. And that plays a factor into the preparation of everything, because they had to spend the first 2 days of the week, 1 day of the week preparing for Washington. And now they only get 2 or 3 days to prepare for this Gotham side that provides a lot to you on the pitch. In the regular season, Orlando, they're coming off back-to-back regular season wins. They turned things around. They got a 3-1 win over San Diego 2 weeks ago, a 1-0 win over Racing Louisville last weekend. They've proved that they can score goals. They got 2 over Washington last night, but they also proved that their defense has some holes and some gaps in it. They let one in against San Diego. They let 4 in against Washington last night. I just think there's going to be goals everywhere in this one. Like, high scoring. We got 4-2 in the midweek Challenge Cup, and Challenge Cup is always a little chaotic. We see that, but I'm thinking 3 goals from Gotham in this one, maybe 2 from Orlando. I think Orlando's going to continue to score and get on the board, so I'm going to go 3-2 Gotham.
You're putting a heavy scoreline on it. Listen, I respect it.
I just figure, why not? We have fun with it here. I think there's going to be a lot of goals in this.
So,
I do.
Like 3-2, so like Lynn Williams hat trick? Question mark.
I mean, I would not be opposed to that, Sandra. Sure.
I mean, we'll see.
What we say goes. 3-2, Lynn Williams hat trick, Gotham 3 points.
Yeah, well, no, we'll see. I think, look, being on the East Coast, I think maybe you try to find the silver linings in it all. If you're Orlando Pride, you're like, hey, we're going to DC to play against Spirit. We're staying here. You know, we're just keeping the bus and the planes moving in the same direction, essentially, and try to limit the effects of something, you know, like travel on the body. But yeah, I'm not too sure if that's gonna be enough. I think some of the personnel that we saw in Challenge Cup might be some of the players that you want to utilize, you know, in a game against Gotham, you know. So I think there's some opportunities. I think if you're Gotham, if you're Orlando, in this one, you know, are we going to see another start for Allen, for Orlando Pride? Are we going to see more goalkeeper rotation for Orlando Pride? That is something that has been constant for this Pride side, you know, between, you know, Collins and Morehouse, you know, and Carly Nelson. Like it's been constant. So I think at this point you want to try to ensure that you're gonna solidify that. You know, it's week 7. You know, who are you gonna roll with? You know, at that point. And I think I'm gonna try to keep an eye on that because it's just something that makes me curious.
Right.
But even though there's like certain opportunities within that, like you want to look at those silver linings, it's just not enough for me to pick against Lynn Williams at this rate.
And I
In week
picked
7.
Orlando, I think the last 2 games. I picked them in the Challenge Cup last night.
Yeah.
I picked them last week in their win, and I still think Orlando's climbing, right? They're building, they're laying the foundation, they're growing in their growth throughout the season, but sometimes growth comes with a loss and learning moments going up against really good opposition and a really good forward, frankly. Like the Christy Mewis, Lynn Williams combination, the Yasmin Ryan in there too. Like
So good.
there's good stuff coming between that team, that Gotham side. Yeah, I think it's going to be tough for Gotham. They're also at home playing at Red Bull. I'm with you. We both going Gotham on this one.
Let's see if we're right. I like that you put the heavy score line on it. We'll see how many Williams scores in that one if that's the case. Let's make our final pick of the episode. Kansas City Current versus San Diego Wave. The Wave and the Current. It's a water bowl. Let's make some picks here. Should we start with the home side essentially? And maybe kind of run it down and see why or why not we might go, with Kansas City, or we might go with the Wave. Look, both of them coming off of some losses here.
Yeah,
I think that's something that's important to note. What adjustments are we going to see when you are a team that's coming off of the losing side of things? I don't know. I'm always kind of feel like, did I reserve my draw in the wrong place in this episode? Look, I think with San Diego Wave, I think this is a team that they're looking ahead a little bit, and maybe they don't want to drop another game because they've had some struggles as of late, and maybe not for lack of player effort. That's never the case. I think when we're looking at some of these losses, but you do have to wonder a little bit where players are getting plugged in, and if those areas are playing to their strengths and their attributes and what they can bring week to week, especially considering the opposition that they go up against. So I think like with these two teams, Lisa, again, like I said in Houston and Portland, and I think I also referred to that in Angel City and the Spirit as well. This is another game where I'm looking at the middle third and I'm curious who is going to dominate in that area when it comes to these two teams.
So who do you think's going to win?
What? Do you think I have a winner in this game, Lisa?
You think it's going to be a draw?
No, I don't think it's going to be a draw. You're
pulling my leg over here.
I'm pulling your leg over here. I'm going to go with Kansas City Current in this one against San Diego Wave. I think they're going to continue to struggle.
Yeah, this game's actually really tough for me. I think both sides are struggling as of late. They really are. And I think that maybe at the start of the season, so 7 weeks ago, I would have circled this game on my calendar and said, this is my game to watch. Week 7, these teams are going to be flying at this point, and they've both hit a lull.
Yeah.
Is this the week that they kind of come out of that slump? I'm not so sure. I keep thinking that San Diego is going to be the team with Casey Stoney and Alex Morgan and Caitlin Sheridan to turn the switch, snap back into it and get going, because San Diego's coming off back-to-back losses. Or against Orlando, they lost 3-1. That was Orlando's first win of the year. 3 goals over San Diego. And then against Washington, 3-1. Caitlin Sheridan, goalkeeper for San Diego Wave, conceded 4 goals in the first 4 games of the regular season. In the last 2 games, she has conceded 6 goals. Something's going on. Something's happening there. I'm not so sure about it. They've also got Naomi Girma, Rookie of the Year, Defender of the Year last year, Goalkeeper of the Year in Caitlin Sheridan, Coach of the Year, Casey Stoney last year. But something's not right over there at San Diego. Something's happening. I'm not sure when and how they're going to be able to turn it around, because they've still put up goals, right? They got a goal apiece in their last 2 losses. And sometimes that's all it takes. And I think last year they could lean on getting 1 goal a game and then keeping a clean sheet. Now, when their defense isn't being as tight as it has been in past year or past games, they have to rely a little bit more on their offense to put up more goals. That's when we need to see 2 goals out of the front line of San Diego, 3 goals out of them. That way it's not so much pressure on the defense if they let up 1 or 2. Now they let up 6 in the last 2 games, did San Diego. Now, meanwhile, KC Current, they were on a big slump to start the year, turned things around after they said goodbye to head coach Matt Potter, brought in Caroline Huablum. They got a couple of wins for 2 weeks, but then they travel to Angel City and they get a 3-2 loss against the LA side. They're back at home in Kansas City. I think that this could be a draw between these 2 sides. For me, I think I'm going to go with Kansas City. I just don't think that this is the week that things really get turned around for San Diego. I think that Sheridan is still going to look a little lost in what's happening. It's really hard to get your confidence back as a goalkeeper once that has happened to you. You have to lean on your team a lot. And the offense for Kansas City with Dabinia, with CC Kaiser, has really started to develop. And they're going to continue to ride that wave. Cassie Miller, although she's been getting the consistent starts and shutouts for Kansas City over AD Franch, she does let in 3 goals last week against Angel City. And in talking to Coach Caroline Huablum for Kansas City, she said that both goalkeepers were doing tremendously well in training, and she wants to reward good performance. Will we see a shakeup? Will we see AD Franch in goal this weekend? I think we could. And I think that could be the difference maker for Kansas City. And so that's why I'm going to go with the home side in the Current getting the win.
All right. So we're both going KC.
Yeah.
In this one. Do we want to close out the show and have fun with this? Do we want to put a scoreline on this one as well? Because I mean, we've seen not only have we seen a couple of not only have we seen some losses on both sides of these 2 teams heading into this week 7 match, but there's been heavier score lines a little bit between them. So I'm curious if this is the game that if there is rotation, right? Or do we see AD Franch back in net for Kansas City Current? How that goes, and what type of performance we see from the defensive back line in front of Franch, and is it going to be one of those motivating performances, right? Where it's just I'm back in the net and I'm not letting go of this starting position kind of energy, right? And then maybe for Sheridan, I think you bring up, a good point in terms of back-to-back losses and kind of conceding the goals that the team has conceded over the last 2 weeks. Is you have to have short memories, right? We hear about that all the time from the athletes that we speak to or interview, and you just got to have a quick turnaround of a long season.
Yeah,
you just kind of leave that and push that behind you. So
yeah,
I'm curious if maybe this one does come down to a goalkeeper's battle a little bit when you've got 2 teams that have come in and have led in some heavy score lines. Maybe you want to try and turn that around and maybe make things narrow. But I'm with you in the budding relationship between Kaiser, Dabinia. Yeah. I like what DiBernardo's presence has done for the Current as well in the middle third. Also curious to get a look at those individual battles. This is another game where I'm really want to see how those things break out. I mean, we're going to get to see DiBernardo and Colaprico go head to head probably for the first time ever in their careers. There's little things here within the lines. I think, we're talking about the goalkeepers battle. This is another one I think in the middle that people should try to keep an eye on. So we're both on Current.
I like that you shouted out. I like that you shouted out DiBernardo and Colaprico. I honestly hadn't thought of that. They spent their whole careers at Chicago playing next to each other. Now they get to go against each other. I think they'll share a few laughs and a few smiles. So you teased this a little bit ago. You said, hey, should we put a scoreline on it? And I was like, I don't think I can. Well, the people in the chat want it. Peace Mode wants a scoreline. I'm going to go narrow. I think like a 1-0.
Yeah.
1-0 to KC. Really narrow.
I'm going to go 2-1. I think Dabini's got a brace in her.
2-1. So you think San Diego gets one too?
I do.
I see that. I mean, they scored in both their last 2 games, right? Yeah. Even if it's at the very end, Alex Morgan knocking one in the final seconds. You never know.
Yeah, I'm going 2-1 in this one. So we'll see. We'll see how correct or incorrect we were. We love to talk about all that in our recaps